Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video I'll be giving you my opinion on what is good and bad in the Soulforge this week, what's worth crafting and what's worth saving onto your hard-earned diamonds for. As well as that, we'll be looking at the new Glory Troop in the shop and giving that a rating as well. Anyway, a man and a giraffe walk into a bar, and after a few drinks the giraffe falls over and dies. The man begins to walk out when the bartender stops him. "Hey, you can't leave that lion there," the bartender yells out. The man turns around. It's not a lion, it's a giraffe. Ugh. Anyway, while I think about it, another thing as well, in the mail I've already collected this, and you may have seen the video earlier, but I'll just go over this really quickly. On the PlayStation at least, there seems to be triple rewards. Well, not seems to be, there is. It's like we've actually collected it in our guild so far. I presume it is for all PlayStation owners at least. And if you are on other formats, let me know in the comments if you got it as well or not. But yeah, 3 times the rewards. I did do a video on that earlier. So there it is. Right, anyway, on to the Soulforge, no, shop first. And the weekly event troop. Anglefin. Let's take a look. Atlantis ultra rare. Uses red and blue. Destroys all yellow gems with full effect. That's actually quite handy. And there's a 10% chance to devour an enemy boosted by yellow gems destroyed. A 1-to-1 ratio. So at first glance that doesn't sound that helpful, because if there was 10 yellow gems there, for example, that's still only going to be a 20% chance, so roughly 1 in 5. So still quite low odds on that actually working, but you do benefit from the yellow gems. And you can create teams that create an awful lot of yellow gems on the board first, before casting that, and you can maybe increase that to 25, maybe even higher % chance, while at the same time collecting those yellow gems, which goes towards your other troops, providing they use yellow, of course. But so it will have its place in certain teams, but is pretty situational. Let's take a look at the traits. Gain 1 attack when allies gain an extra turn. Icy Death, summon an ice storm when an enemy dies, is not actually very helpful towards its spell at all, because an ice storm is blue, and that basically means there's going to be less yellow appearing on the board. So that is actually detrimental to its spell, that middle trait. A bit annoying. And reduce damage from skulls by 30%. So all in all, not bad. Well, it's a little bit bad, but not shocking. But it is very situational. You do have to have a team set up to use that well, and to consider its abilities. But 4 out of 10 is not going to be a game changer, put it that way. But will work in certain teams, and if you get lucky with that devour, then you never know. Right, grab these to level 20 always if you can, or enough to get it to mythic at least, I mean. That way this is going to aid your power level kingdoms when you fully trait this and upgrade it. Really good. Right, so what should we do next? Triton, a new legendary troop is here. Deals heavy splash damage to an enemy boosted by blue gems, then give all merfolk 4 magic. So that's a new legendary to try and get, which is pretty cool. Right, onto the Soulforge itself. Weapons first. I'm not going to go over all the ones that are here all the time at the bottom. They are reviewed in previous Soulforge videos, so you can always check back on those if you need to have a look at them. Right, let's start at the top. Nature Staff. Deals magic based damage to an enemy, then deal double damage if there is a leaf storm, then create a leaf storm. So there are lots of ways to create a leaf storm at the start of the game, so that could be viable for double damage immediately. And even if that leaf storm expires, then you're going to create another one when you cast that spell. But obviously you need that leaf storm to still be running when you cast this again to get that double damage. So a little bit situational. That's quite a high mana cost really for something like that. But the leaf storm is handy on its own. It's not just about the damage and the double damage. The leaf storm itself is quite neat. It can be good in certain teams, but mostly collectible, I would suggest. Iron Wave. Deal a magic based damage to an enemy boosted by merfolk allies. Then create a mix of 6 blue and brown gems for each merfolk ally. So this uses red and yellow, and it creates blue and brown. So basically you need merfolk on your side which use some blue and brown. At least one or two of them, otherwise you're creating those gems literally for nothing. But if your team meets those requirements, then that certainly can be very handy indeed. Trident of Atlantis. Remove all blue gems with no effect. So this is like a anti-Atlantis team. If you're fighting those Atlantis teams, this is going to be the sort of thing to maybe use against them. Deal magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by gems removed, a 3-to-1 ratio. If the enemy is from Atlantis, or if the battle is in Atlantis, deal double damage. So, yep, double damage versus Atlantis troops or in Atlantis, while removing all the gems of the colour they cover the most, which is pretty cool. Just got to be sure that you don't use blue in your team, ideally. Otherwise, you're fighting against your own team there by removing those blue gems. But if those situations are met, then that indeed can be useful. Doomed Dirk. Deals damage to the last enemy boosted by blue gems, and if they have a doom, deal double damage. There's a 3% chance per tempering level to kill the enemy. So that is a really low percentage chance, and the trouble with these weapons is they are really, really hard to get powered up unless you're a mega high level player with 80 zillion gems in the bank to spend on getting the scrolls and stuff. But yeah, I much prefer the doomed weapons that do the damage or create a load of skulls and things like that, or transform a certain colour gem to a certain colour, or two gems, sorry. They are far more effective. Not particularly a fan of this one. Don't consider that to be essential in any way, shape or form. Way too much luck based on the chance to kill the enemy, which is the bit you're most interested in, because the damage itself is not that great at all. And that is it for the weapons, so nothing essential there at all, mostly collectible. Right, on to the troops now. To crack on with these troops, because I've got to do the Tower of Doom team today as well. Again, not doing the ones that are here all the time. Just going to start off with the basic mythics that are new. Mythrilion. Explode a 3x3 block. Gains magic-based armor. Barrier a random ally for every skull destroyed. So very defensive troop. And it gets even better in the traits. Now this is a really, really quite cool set of traits, I think. Gain 1 armor when an enemy casts a spell is pretty much so-so. But the last two are pretty fantastic, to be honest. Spell block. Reduce damage from spells by 50%. So any incoming spell damage is halved. And mithril armor reflects 75% of skull damage. So the skull damage is not going to be reduced, but you're going to actually fire back 3/4 of that back to whoever gave it to you, which, when you combine that with the fact this thing can gain a lot of armor, then it can be a really good first defensive troop. Obviously, it doesn't do any damage of any way, shape or form, so it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people like the super damaging troops and don't like the defensive style of play. But if you're into that gameplay style, then this is a pretty strong troop. Not the best, but still pretty decent, I think. Next up we have Obsidius. Yes, been waiting for this guy to reappear. Last time round I got Mistralis, was waiting for her, and now Obsidius is here. But do I have enough diamonds? Oh, 4,041. I'm not even messing around. I'm just doing that now. I need him. I require him. I now have him. Thank you very much. Right, now where were we? We're talking about him. Right, just because I crafted him, by the way, that doesn't mean to say I think he's necessarily the best troop here. He is extremely good. I do like him. Deals heavy splash damage to a random enemy. Destroys a 5x5 block which generates mana. And there's a 50% chance to deal light splash damage to a random enemy. But that third trait is really, really useful as well. Stun all enemies on 4 or 5 gem matches. Really, really handy against those Queen Beatrix teams and other teams that have a stun, which really, really can cripple them and put their team on the back foot if they get stunned. Really, really good for that third trait. Love it. Reduce damage from skulls by 50%. Also really, really good. So Obsidius is excellent indeed. Tina 9000. Love this troop. I remember first seeing this troop a little while back, and I thought it was a typo. I thought, how can that possibly be the thing? It's too good. Deal, it wasn't as much as this at the time because I was a lower level player, obviously, but deal magic based true damage And it's a high amount as well to 3 random enemies and gain a massive bunch of armor. It was like, what? That's obscene. And indeed, when Tina's on form, it can absolutely smash through opponents. It's really, really good. Love Tina. Pretty decent traits as well. Add 50% of armor to skull damage, so you get her armor boosted up. She's really damaging. Spell block as well. Reduce damage from spells by 50% and gain 2 armor on 4 or 5 gem matches. Makes Tina one of the best mythics in the game for me. Absolutely love Tina. These ones are here all the time. Guard's avatar is the last one, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, Smith-William. Right, so Guard's avatar deals, it sounds like a low amount at first. Even in my case, 16 damage to all enemies, but it's boosted by his armor. Then you burn undead and silence daemon enemies. Boosted by the armor is the key to this, so the higher your armor, the bigger the boost. And you can obviously use other troops to boost up his armor, which increases the damage of that spell in a considerable way. In the correct team, this can be very damaging indeed. I used to use it quite a lot back in the early days of the game, but not so much now. Other troops have replaced his abilities for me, but still was really fun in his heyday. More collectible than anything now, but still can be decent in the right team. The traits are okay. Allied Divines gain 2 life. Recover 1 armor at the start of each turn is pretty slow. And gain 4 armor when an ally casts a spell as well. It's okay, but it's a little bit too slow and not enough armor to be that effective. But overall, Guard's avatar is an okay troop, but kind of feels like he's had his day at the same time, if you know what I mean. Let's just go over the the legendaries quickly. Queen Isabel, very handy. She looks grumpy as hell. Looks like someone took the jam out of her donut and then threw the donut away anyway, just to get her even more annoyed. She's pulling a face at you like she's just not happy about something. Deal damage to the first enemy equal to an ally's attack. Obviously, you can use that, and you can use other team members to boost up that ally's attack in the first place, then give magic-based attack and armor to them at the same time, and then give 3 to 8 mana to all allies other than herself. So she's very generous in the giving out of the gifts, but just not to herself. Maybe that's why she's so unhappy. Anyway, allied knights gain 2 life, reduce damage from skulls by 25%, and all humans gain 2 armor at the start of each turn are the traits. So that last mythic trait is a little bit annoying because obviously you have to have all humans in your team to use it, but she is not bad for a legendary at all. Spring Imp deals scatter damage, then entangles all enemies. If an enemy dies, gain 8 magic. That entangling all enemies can be particularly useful, but one of the traits that's best of all is gain 8 magic on green gem matches. Get this in a green looping team and you can put up magic absolutely considerably, then deal devastating damage. And also gain bonus green mana from green gem matches is super handy indeed. Queen Mab. She was part of the Justice League as it was called a few years ago, if you remember that. Mana burn all enemies, and if there are 13 or more blue gems, gain an extra turn. An okay spell. The trouble is there's more and more troops becoming immune to mana burn now. So that is becoming not as effective as it was. It used to be really good. Third trait, quite handy. Freeze a random enemy on 4 or 5 gems as well as being immune to frozen, and gain 1 magic when an ally casts a spell. Against non-immune mana burn enemies, she can be good because that spell goes up and up in power. Gain 1 magic when an ally casts a spell. So she can be useful, but not as good as she used to be, unfortunately. So that is 1, 2, 3, 1 more to go somewhere. Where are you? Oh, it was down the bottom, wasn't it? It was like a funny placement thing. Where is it? Where is it? Garuda. Summons a firestorm, which is red gems, then deals magic-based damage to all enemies. Gain 1 magic boosted by red gems. Deal double skull damage versus Naga, so good versus Naga. Immune to burning and fairy fire, and allied Strix gain 5 life and attack are the traits, so there's nothing particularly useful about those, although being immune to fairy fire is actually surprisingly useful. But yeah, the spell Good damage to wall. Damage to wall is good versus stealthy opponents. They can't hide from that, so it is a good way of hitting opponents which are stealthy, like normally Life and Death when they're in stealthy mode, and Arachnian Weaver, those kind of things. And summoning a Firestorm is handy as well, especially if you're going for the Slayer class thing where you get triple skull damage and things like that. So there it is. There's legendaries. I don't normally recommend crafting legendaries. They turn up way more often in chests than mythics do, so save your diamonds for the mythics. But who gets my mythic of the week? We got a few good ones in here today. Mithrilian is decent, not outstanding. Obsidius is very, very good indeed. Now, even though I crafted him, it doesn't mean to say I think he's the best one, because I don't. I think there is one troop which is better. I crafted him because I didn't have him, and now I do. But my mythic of the week, nope, not Guard's Avatar, has to be Tina. Really super damaging spell. You can give this thing a 50% start as well in Mechanist class, so it only needs 12 to do all that damage, gain all that armor, to 3 random enemies that damage is done. That's really, really powerful. Can hit the same enemy twice and just wipe out opponents in one go sometimes. Really useful. Really good traits as well. Tina, you are the mythic of the week. There it is. There's my Soulforge review video. I'll be back later on with my Tower of Doom team. So check that out. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, it'd be really cool if you hit that like and subscribe button. Much more Gems of War stuff to come in the future. But most of all, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again later. Bye for now.